Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasha Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashto Tadashatashi Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem Sekaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Navadvip Dham ki Jai. Ganga Yamuna Mai ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani ki Jai. Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. New Govardhan Dham ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hare Hare Bhakti. Can you get the book, please? If Yamunapati Prabhu is listening, seems that the back part of this Vyasasana is seeming to move. It shouldn't be moving, it should be fixed. And it seems that it's doing that on the basis of devotees' enthusiastically taking the Vyasan back to the wall over there. It seems it's separating. So maybe because it should be moved from the seat part, not the back part. Now it's coming off. So if you're listening, help. Just joking. Now we'll just need to, maybe you could help fix it. Or else somebody will be giving class and might just fall back. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Liberation. It's the title, Chapter 11, Lord Rāmacandra rules the world. And we will start, what verse is on the board there? 5. Okay, so I'll read 2, 3, 4, and then we could. Lord Rāmacandra, so this is text 2, gave the entire east to the Hota priest, the entire south to the Brahma priest, the west to the Udvaryu priest, and the north to the Udgata priest. The reciter of the Samaveda, period. In this way, he donated his kingdom. Thereafter, thinking that because the brāhmaṇas have no material desires, they should possess the entire world, Lord Rāmacandra delivered the land between the east, west, north, and south to the Acharya. After thus giving everything in charity to the brāhmaṇas, Lord Rāmacandra retained only his personal garments and ornaments. And similarly, the queen, Mother Sita, was left with only her nose ring and nothing else. Okay, so text 5, please repeat. Te tu brāhmana devasya vatsalyam vikshya samstutam pshitaha klina diyas tasmai pratyarpyedam babashire. Te tu brāhmana devasya vatsalyam viksha samstutam prita klina diyastasmai pratyarpyedam babashire. Te tu brāhmana devasya vatsalyam viksha samstutam prita klina diyastasmai pratyarpyedam babashire. Te tu brāhmana devasya vatsalyam viksha samstutam prita klina diyastasmai pratyarpyedam babashire. Please chant.
Tetu brāhmana devasya vatsalyam viksha samstutam prita klina diyastasmai pratyarpyedam babashire. Tetu brāhmana devasya vatsalyam viksha samstutam
Karnamrita, like to chant? Anyone online?
Ketu brāhmana devasya vatsalyam viksha samsutam pritaha klinadiyas tasmai pratyartyedam babashire.
Your initiation's coming up soon, Vanessa?
Very well, yeah, March. I thought I wouldn't be able to choose, but I asked for a specific date so my mother could attend. She's coming back from overseas. So March 15th is what I suggested.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
March 15th, that's really soon. All right.
I know, yes. I'm very excited. Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right, so word by word. Te, the Hota, Brahma and other priests. 2, but Brahmana Devasya of Lord Rāmacandra, who loved the Brahmins so much. Vatsalyam, the paternal affection. Viksha, after seen. Samstutam, worship with prayers. Pritaha, being very pleased. Klindandiyaha, with melted hearts. Tasmai, unto him, Lord Rāmacandra. Pratyarpya, returning. Idam, this, all the land given to them. Babashire, spoke. Yeah, I'm so happy for you, Vanessa. You have such a very personal and loving, caring, down-to-earth spiritual master. It's a very great blessing for you. Very happy for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be in this position also without your mercy, Prabhu. So thank you for your support.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your kind encouragement. Translation. All the Brahmins who were engaged in the various activities of the sacrifice were very pleased with Lord Rāmacandra, who was gratefully affectionate and favorable to the Brahmins. Thus, with melted hearts, they returned all the property received from him and spoke as follows. Purport. In the previous chapter, it was said that the prajas, the citizens, strictly followed the system of varnashram dharma. The Brahmins acted exactly like Brahmins, the Kshatriyas exactly like Kshatriyas, and so on. Therefore, when Lord Rāmacandra gave everything in charity to the Brahmins, being qualified, wisely considered that Brahmins are not meant to possess property, to make a profit from it. The qualifications of a Brahmin are given in Bhagavad Gita, 1842. Shamodamastapo shaucham chantir arjavameva jnanam vijnanamastikam brahma karma svabhavajam. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, knowledge, and religiousness. These are the qualities by which the Brahmins work. The Brahminical character offers no scope for possessing land and ruling citizens. These are the duties of a Kshatriya. Therefore, although the Brahmins did not refuse Lord Rāmacandра's gift, after accepting it, they returned it to the king. The Brahmins were so pleased with Lord Rāmacandра's affection toward them that their hearts melted. They saw that Lord Rāmacandra, aside from being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was fully qualified as a Kshatriya and was exemplary in character. One of the qualifications of a Kshatriya is to be charitable. A Kshatriya ruler levies taxes upon the citizens not for his personal sense gratification, but to give charity in suitable cases. Dhanam Ishvara Bhavaha. On one hand, Kshatriyas have the propensity to rule, but on the other, they are very liberal with charity. When Maharaj Yudhishthira gave charity, he engaged Karna to take charge of distributing it. Karna was very famous as Datta Karna. The word Datta refers to one who gives charity very liberally. The kings always kept a large quantity of food grains in stock, and whenever there was a scarcity of grains, they would distribute grains in charity. A Kshatriya's duty is to give charity, and a Brahman's duty is to accept charity, but no more than needed to maintain body and soul together. Therefore, when the Brahmins were given so much land by Lord Rāmacandra, they returned it to him and were not greedy. Om Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshulan Militamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Katitivachalam Pangam Langayate Gidim Yakripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinitaranam Vancha Kapadibhishcha Kripa Sindhubhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada's motto that he said he lived by was, everything for Krishna, nothing for me. That's what he said his motto was. So on this motto, one can accept the whole world. One could accept so many parcels of land, so much money. One could accept everything, actually, on this motto, because upon receiving whatever it may be, they use it in Krishna's service. And in this way, it's not entangling. It's not destructive to their being. And in this way, even though one may possess, in a sense, or one may accept so many things, they are still a kinchana. A kinchana meaning they don't own anything. Because they are not claiming anything to be theirs. They're just engaged in everything in Krishna's service. They're like a caretaker. Just like if we go to Bank of America, devotees sometimes bring this up. If you go to Bank of America and you say, I renounce all of this bank. You say the bank doesn't belong. So it's funny. Bank doesn't belong to you in the first place. How could you renounce it? So similarly, everything doesn't belong to us. Nothing belongs to us. Not even our body. What to speak of anything else? So how could we be possessors of anything? We're not. It's an illusion. So a devotee understands this, and because a devotee, whether externally they're living under a tree, with literally no possessions, or whether they're living in a palace, they can still be a kinshana because they understand who is the proprietor and they engage everything in Krishna's service. And in this way, a kinshana and a kinshana devotee, they possess Krishna, or they conquer Krishna. Lord Rāmacandra, showing a perfect example of a Kshatriya, of a king, he gave everything to the Brahmins. It's amazing. He just gave everything. Said he didn't have anything else to give, just like literally everything. So that's amazing. It's one way to manage things. It's not easy to manage things. It's actually not even easy to manage one's own life. People have a hard time. How will I read? How will I eat properly? How will I sleep properly? Where will I live? People have a hard time managing their lives. What to speak of trying to manage other people's lives? What to speak of managing a temple or a community or a country, or what to speak of the world? It's not easy to manage. I mean, sometimes you wonder about devotees and how they're or we may wonder about ourselves. How are we supposed to help people? I mean, it's amazing how much time could go into one person, two people, in terms of helping them manage their lives or manage a project. Like last night, I was on a call for 4 hours. Someone may say, maybe it wasn't worth it, or maybe it doesn't need to take that long. I don't know, though. I mean, sometimes it seems that it does have to take that long. People have things to say. I was listening a lot, but people have things to say. They don't have people to talk to. There's a couple I was talking to about some project, preaching project, and it's another part of the world, and it's time zone difference. It's 4 hours, though. It's a long time. I mean, during the call, he was saying, yeah, we'll talk for 5 hours. And I was thinking, okay, sure. But then when we're done, it was 4 hours. It's like, that's a long time. So you wonder sometimes. So, and anyways, an easy way here, in a sense, Rāmacandra said, okay, I'll give you all the land. In other words, you manage it, which is an important point to consider. We train people, and they help manage things. That's an important aspect. We engage people, and they help. So it's amazing what he did. But then another amazing thing is that, or the second amazing thing is that the Brahmins, being so qualified with so many wonderful qualities of peacefulness and self-control and austerity and purity and tolerance and honesty and wisdom and knowledge and religiousness, they're just such wonderful persons and such detached persons that they just gave it back to him. They gave everything back to him. They accepted it, which is a good thing for us to note, that when people give us things, we can accept it as a gift, whatever it may be. And then we may utilize it ourselves, or we may give it to somebody else. But the Vaishnava etiquette is to accept whatever's given as a gift and be very grateful for it and try to use it somehow, or give it to somebody else who could use it without that person, I guess, knowing exactly. But yes, so the Brahmins, they just gave everything back. It's inconceivable, because just imagine someone gives you millions and billions and trillions of dollars worth of something, and you just give it all back. It's very detached. But of course, when we when we hear such things, we think, where are such brāhmaṇas today? And then when we hear about the Kshatriyas like Rāmacandra, we think, where are such Kshatriyas today? It's a good question, and we would be hard-pressed to see any such brāhmaṇas even close to that, or even such Kshatriyas even close to that. But then again, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, by the mercy of his devotees, we do find qualified persons with such amazing qualities. And we should remember that all of these descriptions and the wonderful qualities we hear of the Vaishnavas are not just historical accounts of people having such qualities, but such people exist. And we should also want to be like such persons. It's not impossible. Just because we're in Kali Yuga doesn't mean we can't be saintly. It is possible, and that is the idea. So yes, when we hear about varnashram and yeah, it's really a big subject, and it's hard to really describe it in detail in a Srimad Bhagavatam class. It requires like seminars and seminars of discussion, but at least in a simple sense, we could see that we all have natural inclinations by which we work as teachers or as so on. Different. We hear about the different classes, and we all have inclinations in terms of brahmacharya or sannyas or marriage life or vanaprastha life, like that. We all have natural inclinations to these different ways of living and working. So the real success in life is simply just to engage our own God-given natures in Krishna service fully, to really dedicate ourselves. And when we talk about doing that, we have to try to do that fully, not like partially. Partially means partial happiness or partial satisfaction. But we have to engage fully. And that requires us, you could say, opening our hearts and being vulnerable in a sense. That because when we talk about dedicating ourselves, we do that in the community of devotees. We don't do that in isolation. We do that in the community of devotees. And when we talk about living in the community of devotees, one has to open their heart to other devotees. If we keep our heart in a casket of selfishness, then, in other words, not extending ourselves, not opening our hearts to others, it's a type of selfishness. Then what happens is our heart becomes very cold and hard. It's like a hard heart. So the idea is we have to extend ourselves. At the lounge the other day, someone came up to me and they're kind of complaining about something. I guess I just have it written all over my face, huh? Voice your complaints. Voice your concerns. And the person was telling me that sometimes they feel that if they wouldn't reach out to someone, to people, that people wouldn't reach out to them. And they'd kind of have no friends, type of thing. Or no one would talk with them. That's what this person was saying. I said, oh, that's a very interesting point. I said, to be quite honest, one of my convictions is that I'm a social person. Actually, we're all social by nature. God is social. Krishna's never alone, right? He's always with someone, his devotees. So we're social by nature, but Anyway, so I was telling this person that yeah, I mean, I'm a social person in a sense. I go up, I talk with people and this and that. And my conviction is that people want that. People are lonely. People want friends. People are a little shy. And my conviction is that if I wouldn't do that, they wouldn't come up to me and talk, and then we just wouldn't talk. But it's amazing how much people actually want to talk if you talk with them. So this idea of waiting for people to extend ourselves to us out of whatever it may be, shyness or whatever it is, the other people are kind of waiting in that sense. So then you get a bunch of waiters. And someone has to initiate. Kind of get out of the comfort zone and initiate. Just like Bhajanarayan Swami likes to say at the end of his classes sometimes, when he takes questions, he says, I'll tell you how this works. Everybody's thinking that the person next to them is going to ask the question. But if everybody's thinking that, then nobody asks the question. So somebody needs to. So in a similar way, about my mother, there was one person who would come here every Sunday and sit in the corner there. And no devotees would talk with him. He was like kind of quiet and a little serious looking kind of. And he would collect prasadam. And devotees who knows what devotees were thinking, that he was collecting it so he could like throughout the week kind of have a good time or something with the prasadam. But my mother came up to him one day because she was kind of tired of just not talking to him. And she's like, hey, so like, who are you? And like, what's your story? And like, what's going on? And like, and then he talked. And he talked a long time. And he wanted to talk. And he was collecting prasadam for his mother. He was taking care of his mother at the time. So it's an example. So when we're trying to dedicate ourselves in a community, we have to reach out to others. And we have to make friends in that community of devotees. And in this way, it will be easier for us to naturally dedicate ourselves and using our God-given talents in Krishna service. So this is in a simple sense, Varnashram is encouraging to use our talents in Krishna service. And when we hear about the qualities of Brahmins or Kshatriyas and so on, if we have a natural inclination to work in those particular ways, then we should meditate in how we can become better at that. Sometimes reading such things, we may have a tendency to focus too much on our failures or our lack of having these qualities. Because you think, oh wow, the Brahmins, it's like self-control and what else? I don't know, peace, austerity, purity, and how will I ever develop such things? I don't have. I'm fill in the blanks. Depends how harsh you want to be with yourself on a given particular day. But we should see our failures, because I think anyone will honestly say they have failures. We should see our failures as an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to get closer to Krishna. And instead of focusing on perfection, which in many ways is a little bit too idealistic, especially in the beginning of one's Krishna consciousness, instead of focusing on our perfection, the perfection of others, or lack of, and the perfection of ourselves, we should try to positively focus on the point that we and others in our company are surely trying. They must be trying. Because if one is even a little sincere, they'll try. So instead of focusing on that, on the faults, we focus on how people are actually trying. And by focusing too much on our failures and our lack of perfection, what happens is we isolate ourselves, or it's like a self-constructed hell in which we're separate from God or separate from Krishna. Self-constructed in the sense that we don't have to be wrapped up, absorbed, entangled, dragged down by our shortcomings or by our failures. But instead of focusing on that, we look at Krishna. It's a depressing world, and we may be depressed about ourselves, but instead of looking at the depressing world and being depressed about ourselves, we look at Krishna. And we see Krishna there smiling. Radharani's smiling. They're never frowning. Radharani's always smiling. Krishna's always smiling. Jagannath is definitely always smiling. Gaura Nitai is always smiling. So Giri Govardhan's always smiling. So we just look at them and we take solace, we take inspiration. And try to move forward. So yes, reading about such qualities of the Kshatriyas and the Brahmins, I mean, these are like really, it's inconceivable. Rāmacandra gave the whole kingdom to the Brahmins. I mean, that's inconceivable. What ruler, I mean, what type of charity they given nowadays? Or that the Brahmins just gave everything back. I mean, that's inconceivable. I mean, that's really inconceivable. So when we read about this, and throughout the books we read, they're very high marks of God realization, of self-realization. This is high caliber, the most high caliber standards, actually, in the whole religious world. It's like the pinnacle of all religious thought, the pinnacle of all religious experience is within the Bhagavatam. So naturally, when we read about these things, and we say, "Oh, I'm just like so, I'm so far from that. How can?" And that may be true, but by the slow and steady process of bhakti, we can make our way up to experiencing such things and developing such qualities, and ultimately we could become pure devotees. And that's the idea, that this is not meant to be an armchair philosophy in which we read about all the great devotees in the books and so on, but we're also meant to be great in the sense that we're surrendered to Krishna and we're absorbed in our pure devotion to Krishna. And in this way, it could be we could try to be a great inspiration to others. And that is that's the best preaching work one can do, actually, is to be a pure devotee. Okay, does anybody have any question, comment?
Hare Krishna. So you mentioned that there's a lot of people that have difficulties managing their life.
Oh yeah, practically everybody.
Yeah, and it got me thinking it's such a problem that there's actually a relatively new career. It's called a life coach.
Yeah, tell me about it. I am one. Just joking.
Well, actually, and then I was thinking, we have one of the greatest life coaches in Srila Prabhupada and all his writings and everything that he did for us to, I mean, it's a life coach and it's beyond, but
mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know if you want to talk about that at all. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, devotees in general and senior devotees and advanced devotees, they can act as, if you want to say, life coaches. Of course, that is a new term, And with that, there's so many ideas that may float in people's minds. But yes, they are teaching us how to live our life by their example, most importantly. I mean, we learn so much from example. For people who have children or who will have children in the future, they should always remember that children imitate parents. You could tell your child all day and night long not to waste their time and not to do this and not to do that and no, 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 no. But if they look and they see that you're doing all those things, what can you expect? So similarly, as a teacher, you could tell your disciples or your students, don't do this, don't do that, no, no, no. But they'll do what you do. So yeah, much of what we learn is from example, that's for sure. But as much as we take inspiration from others and encouragement from others and learn by their example, we also have to really take responsibility for our own spiritual lives. Just like I could give you so many instructions how to fly a plane as an instructor, a plane instructor, but at one point you have to get behind that wheel and you have to fly that plane. I'm not going to be, maybe I could be there a few times. I'm not going to be there all the time to fly that, with you to fly that plane. So you have to we have to take responsibility for our lives. And that's what it means to be mature in spiritual life or spiritual understandings, that we take responsibility for our spiritual lives, our own advancement. And as much as we like, as human beings, to stick with routines and programs and so on, we tend to be, if you want to say, creatures of habit. We get into a groove. I have South Indian lunch every Wednesday. That's my groove, right? I don't, but I guess sometimes we kind of do. We have South Indian breakfast every Wednesday because Revati's coming. So might kind of get used to that, attached to that, right? That's my groove. But if something's not working, it's not working. It means there needs to make adjustment. So like Srila Prabhupada would always, he made so many adjustments. When he was the League of Devotees in Jhansi, it didn't work. There was some problems. The mayor's wife took over or whatever. And so Prabhupada changed his strategy. In India, when they were doing Harinam, Srila Prabhupada was convinced that people would see them as beggars. So he said, stop doing the Harinam, go make life members. When Srila Prabhupada, like that, there's many examples of Srila Prabhupada adjusting things because the outcome, or for example, also with the political party, Srila Prabhupada encouraged devotees to create a political party. What was it? In God We Trust. But then he found that a lot of the devotees were becoming too absorbed in that from the temples. They were working in that way, and then Srila Prabhupada just stopped it. Or what about the Radha Damodar bus party? It was the most successful bus party, traveling book distribution Harinam party in history. Even now, to this date, in American ISKCON history, it is the most successful. But Srila Prabhupada just stopped it. He adjusted it because there was aspects of it that weren't working. So if something's not working, if people aren't becoming devotees, or if we're having a hard time in our spiritual lives, or whatever it may be, we adjust things so that they could, and we could do that in communication with senior devotees and so on. Like I told you, I was talking to that couple for 4 hours on the Zoom call last night, and yeah, and yeah, I don't know how that took so long, or anyways, but they were thinking of stopping a particular project they're doing, just like halting, like stop. It's a preaching project. So I heard the reasons why and this and that. And then at one point, I was trying to give different suggestions. And they're saying how this wouldn't work that way. It was like, so then at one point I was just saying, okay, why don't you just do this particular preaching project like once a month instead of just like canceling it because you're doing 52 weeks. Okay, just do 12 in a year. And then with your other time, you do some other things. You can meet with devotees or this or that, kind of do some other programs. Okay, yeah, that. So I'm bringing it up because it's an example of just adjusting things. So we may have to adjust. Okay, does anybody have any other question, comment? Yes, Prabhu.
This is not exactly on the topics of this, but it involves the Bhagavatam as a whole. Mm-hmm. I received an email last night from Badri Narayan Maharaj, and he's giving class in a few days in Mayapur.
That's fun.
And he wanted to get, you're probably familiar, I don't know if any of you else are familiar with this. There's a book by Sanatana Goswami called Krishna Lila Stava, which Gopi Pramananda Prabhu translated. And it's a wonderful book. It's a summary of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And it's intertwined with, I don't know, 50 or 60 obeisances, part of the verses, he increased obeisance like that. And at the end of the whole book, he has these 5 verses glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam. And Maharaj wanted that because he's going to probably recite those in his class, you know. And I'd like to just share the translations with us, if you will. I'll just take a minute and a half to read the translations. But they're pretty amazing. If you want it, I have a separate document, a PDF. I'll send it to you. Just let me know. This is, of course, that's Sanatana Goswami speaking. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love.
Yeah, amazing.
Pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah, that's amazing. The Sanatana Goswami prayers or glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. My only friend, my companion, the giver of saintliness to the unsaintly. So in other words, it purifies the Bhagavatam, purifies. I mean, he also mentions it's the life air of the devotees, which means that the devotees can't live without the Bhagavatam. Because life air means if you don't have it, you're dead. So similarly with Srimad Bhagavatam, without Bhagavatam, you're dead. Without Bhagavatam, we're dead, spiritually dead. So the devotees take that as their life air, the Bhagavatam. And by proper hearing and chanting of the Bhagavatam, then we will have the right vision in relation to other services. If we don't hear the Bhagavatam properly, then, or if we don't hear the Bhagavatam or take it as our life air, then we think, oh, what is this deity worship? What is this cooking for the deities? What is this serving devotees? What is this serving my guru? What is all of this? Because it's not proper. There's no hearing and purification and understanding. We see things in a mundane sense. With our eyes, we see things in a mundane sense. When we hear, and that knowledge is within our consciousness, and the purification is happening, then we see things how they're supposed to be seen. The spiritual master is not an ordinary person, and the deity is Krishna, and all of these are very high-level, most high-level special activities. They're not mundane. So that's one of the benefits of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada does mention that. He warns devotees that please hear Bhagavatam, or else you'll see things in a mundane way.
in that regard, 15 seconds. I listen to a Prabhupada lecture every morning when I'm getting ready, so I'm constantly. So he's giving Bhagavatam class. I forget where it is. I think in L.A. And somebody, one of the prominent devotees, they're not there. He says, where is so-and-so? They're not there, So then Prabhupada starts speaking about how important it is to attend Bhagavatam class. And he says, without this hearing, then this deity, beautiful Rukmini Dwakadesh and the other deities, you won't see them as Archa-Vigraha, but you'll see them as Galagraha. And what is a Galagraha? He says, a great burden. Oh, my spiritual master has given me this great burden to worship the deities. In other words, your Krishna consciousness will become mundane and infected. So that's why the importance of attending the Bhagavatam class, reading his books, and keeping our intelligence pure, and so that our enlightenment will be there for all the services. Yeah,
just two more things about that point is that Yamuna Devi, which Srila Prabhupada, he so much affection for Yamuna Devi, his personal cook, great devotee. So one particular case, it happened that somehow or other, and I'm saying this because, it's instructive and it's within our ISKCON history, but somehow or other she was not in his class, but she was out shopping for the deities. She wasn't shopping for the deities. And then Srila Prabhupada said, oh, where's Yamuna? So, she's shopping for the deities. And Prabhupada said, no, this is not good. He said, if she continues like that, she'll become like a karmi, like a materialistic person. It's amazing, actually, shopping for the deities. There's also one other case in this regard. The devotees, Prabhupada was up in his room in Juhu, and then it was 6, and that's when the Gaura Arati was supposed to be happening there. Traditionally, it's happened in all these temples. So. Anyways, it's another topic. But Prabhupada didn't hear the kirtan, and then he said, "Where's the kirtan? Where are the devotees?" And then one of the leaders said, "Oh, Prabhupada, I think he's out. They're out still making life members, which means kind of collecting money, making life members." And he said, "No, this is not good." He said, "They should go out, make life members, and they should come back and they should have kirtan. And if they don't have kirtan, if they're out there just collecting, making life members, they'll just become karmis. It's not good. They have kirtan." So those are the two. Smile about that one. Yes.
Hare Krishna. I just want to make a comment. I personally appreciated the class very much.
Thank you.
It was full of personal realizations, and I really liked it, especially when you were speaking about how people actually want to speak. You just need to make a move and come and talk to them. And the part about here in Srimad Bhagavatam, how it gives you proper vision. There's also a similar story about Jayapataka Swami when he would always ask Prabhupada a question, Srila Prabhupada a question. And one time he was in class and Srila Prabhupada asked, "Where's Jayapataka?" He always asks nice questions.
Oh, I see. And he wasn't there at the time.
He wasn't there.
I see. Okay. All right, Jayapataka Swami ki jai. Okay, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.